I'm gonna call to order the meeting of the Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services. Today is Monday, November 4th, and it is 4:38 p.m. I mean, there is a possibility that a quorum of the full membership of the board may be in attendance at board meetings. There is not this evening. There will be no full board action taken at any board committee meeting. Only members of the committee may vote on any item on the agenda. A live broadcast will be streamed on the school district's YouTube page. And to watch a recorded meeting, please visit our School District of Menominee Falls YouTube site. We are meeting in Village Hall, upper level conference room 3344/45 at W156 North 8480 Pilgrim Road in Menominee Falls. Was the meeting properly posted?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, we will approve, we have some minutes to approve. We have the minutes from the October 21st meeting of this committee. I will motion to approve those. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, and moving on, we have the approval of the minutes from the October 28th meeting. I will make a motion to approve those, and then if I could get a second, please.
I will second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, and we are gonna move to our discussion items. The first item is the capital improvement plan update.
All right, so welcome to our guests. Chris Carlton is our Director of Facilities. Joel Weber. I always have to think especially when the two of you are in the same room. Joel Weber is our
Manager of Maintenance Operations.
maintenance operations, okay? Manager of maintenance we have Momo and we have a Moko.
Yep.
So this is manager of maintenance operations, this is Joel Weber. And then Mr. Dave Hankove is joining us tonight too. Dave is from IRS, but roofing IRS, Industrial Roofing Services.
Wow, it almost got real here.
What did I say to?
And with those fun intros, okay, so we tonight are going through our capital improvement project plan, our CIP plan. So you'll recognize the plan from our Fund 46 approval. So this plan has existed in our school district for many years, but sort of more as a behind the scenes document. Where we have a capital improvement budget each year of $675,000 that our facilities team has to work with for our large scale projects such as roofing or hardscaping and things like that. So this plan has been around, but for the first time our board actually approved the plan along with Fund 46 approval, as that's needed for DEI with Fund 46 and the creation of Fund 46. This plan is kind of a live living document. It can and does change and gets updated frequently, and previously the facilities team just kind of did that behind the scenes, but now because it's been board approved, we bring it back to this committee and just really in an effort to keep the committee and the community informed of our capital needs. Also with the Fund 46 development, the CIP plan was kind of more of a scaled back version. It was our first really public facing document of the sort. But what we've tried to do over the last few months is make it more robust so that it really reflects all of our needs throughout the schools. So the team has been meeting with the schools to make sure that everybody's on the same page, the principals know of their capital improvement needs, etc. So that is linked, and I also can project it up here. So this document is in the public section of this agenda item. The items in green are the items that have either been accomplished or are on the docket for coming years. And as we know, our total budget each year is $675,000 for our capital improvement projects. And our needs are much higher than that. You'll see though, like a lot of things have been added since the last time we've talked about this. Things like playgrounds or school nutrition items, they weren't all on here. And again, this is in an effort to just really be open and transparent about the needs district-wide. We know that they will not all get accomplished with our budget. It's just simply impossible. And you'll see the needs each year. So what we do each year is I address the priorities, and then we have different companies that we work with or partner with. So IRS is one of them. And one of our goals is to kind of create either a narrative or an actual survey assessment linked to each of these items so that anybody can see like, what is this that needs to be done? So IRS, we partner with about once every 5-ish years. It's on our, we reach out and ask for a new assessment, an updated assessment. on our roofing, our hardscapes, windows and walls. And we've linked those items from the survey that was just completed, so that everything's updated now. And IRS goes through and looks at those various components, important components of the buildings, and says, okay, here's what we're looking at, and here's the timeline that we see for replacement, or do we just need maintenance this year and we can push that out another year, et cetera. So that's this is the new part of the CIP document, are these links that are in here, linked to the IRS survey. So we'll go through now some of the items that.
And I don't know, is there anything else that you wanna add, Dave, in regards to, kind of what they're looking at? I brought Dave in today because he's basically just a really great resource that knows the current conditions of, again, all of our roofs, all of our walls and windows, and all of our hardscape, and actually puts them in a priority, kind of identifies, like what kind of roof they are, what's the life expectancy, what are the current conditions, and again, this one here is for the,
High school.
is this for the high school? Yeah, and he can talk to that a little bit more, so I just wanted to give you a little opportunity to talk as well.
Yeah, you guys both did a good summary of what we do essentially, and we go to every single facility and look up, like you said, look at the roof, all the components of the exterior walls and the hardscapes, and then in each of those three disciplines, we provide a report like this, which basically says, here's the age of all your items, here's the condition that we found, here's a bunch of pictures to show what that improves that condition, and based off that condition, here's our recommendation. That recommendation is anywhere from, it's a new roof, so you don't need to do anything, to it's a parking lot that's falling apart and it's 30 years old and you gotta replace it, or anywhere in between. And so, for example, so you scroll down to roof area 1 of the high school, this is one of the roof areas that's due for replacement. So I include some pictures in here that shows that this is a stone ballasted membrane roof. I'm showing that it's shrinking, so some of the seams are starting to open up. And I don't know if I commented in here or not, but this has past leaks, which are documented on our work order system actually, because you guys use that whenever there is a leak. So this is a roof over the cafeteria, I believe.
Yes.
So it's leaked in the past, previous repairs, it's shrinking, seams are starting to open up. So here's some pictures to show that, and at the end of the report, it says, based off all of this, we recommend replacing roof area 1 of the high school. So,
And what I really like about this report is that this is not my world at all, and it's very user friendly, so I can go through and definitely follow along. So I that's why we linked it, because it's available for
Sure.
anybody to kind of follow along with our CIP plan too.
it does get a little long, like the high school, for example, there's like 30 some roof areas, so it's a long report. So the intention isn't
Yeah.
necessarily that, the expectation isn't necessarily that you guys are gonna like read every single report, all 100 pages, but for the areas that are obviously of conversation, you can find them and see what the conditions are. And then if you scroll all the way to the end of the report, I summarize it all into some recommendations and eventually a capital expenditure spreadsheet, which Chris obviously is then transferred to your own spreadsheet here, which
Correct.
is the dollar values and areas.
And yeah, and Caitlin, if you go up, you will see that.
I think I have to go slowly for it to, it's 122 pages.
It's a lot,
This is
it's
the
a lot.
I think Google
bigger
is
ones.
taking its time.
So what's the average life expectancy? I know it's a flat roof, so it makes it kind of,
It depends on the
Challenge.
roof type.
Yeah.
So like the one we were just looking at, the stone ballasted
Yep.
roof, that's a 18 to 20 year roof.
okay,
A roof like we've been doing lately for our replacements for like an asphalt built up roof, that's 30 years.
okay.
So it depends on the roof type, and so that's,
What have we been doing at North, the asphalt build up? Okay.
Build up.
So that's a 30-year roof essentially.
yeah, I mean, if you go by the book, they'll say 25 years, but
Sure.
it'll last 30. I mean, some of them are lasting 40 years, honestly, those
Oh, wow.
asphalt built up roofs are pretty good.
I'm trying to get to
And
the,
North's a flat roof too, right?
That's all we have,
That's all we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
unfortunately.
You're close, Caitlin.
Yeah, keep going up.
Up.
Yep. This is a repair attachment at the end, but keep going and get to the, so it's a roof plan, almost there.
We invented flat
So like,
roofs.
that spreadsheet that you just passed.
Nope, one more down, there you
was
go.
the,
Capital project.
basically every roof area that I recommended for replacement within the next 5 years. put all
Just
on
at the
the
high school?
spreadsheet. Yeah, this is
This
just
is
the high school.
yeah.
So, if you look at this and you wanna say, hey, what's roof area 8, then we have a roof plan that shows where that is, and you can scroll up to that roof area section, see the pictures of it type of thing.
Okay.
So then we have them labeled in CIP plan the same way that Dave has them labeled here, so like this is high school roof 1, 19 through 22 and 27. So that correlates to the spreadsheet.
Okay.
So I've just been doing a lot of control F-ing for like roof sections. But it's really convenient, cause then, and then on the left we have,
Oh, I see.
he's got by the school, BF roofing, and then you can see BF replace roof sections 2, 6, 7. So that's how to read it, I guess.
And Caitlin, what I did too with Dave's 5-year plan is I actually took the map of the high school itself
Mm-hmm.
and put down, I highlighted each one of the sections, so that's a tab to the right there.
Okay,
Like if you
so,
click on that, it didn't say specifically what year, but those are the areas that would be touched in that 5-year plan.
yeah, that's really
And I
good.
certainly could break them out differently, but the reality of it is I didn't wanna do that in that kind of scale, because until we actually obligate to it, then we don't know, but this is just a snapshot of the roof areas that would be affected.
And so essentially, everything that I just described, we do the same thing for all the walls and all the hardscapes. And so,
Can you also go up, Caitlin, right above Dave's capital plan is the maintenance plan? It's just right above that.
When you say above it, you mean in here?
If you would have been
One
right
page
back where
up.
you were,
Okay, let me click back on.
back to that full report that
yeah,
you.
Oh, the
back to
full
the full,
one.
back to the full report.
Okay, I have it in Adobe
There you go.
because I think it likes it better.
Sorry for making you jump.
So one up from here?
Yep.
Okay,
So this is also, I'll let you talk to that, Dave.
Yeah, so we, in some of the roof areas where they're not necessarily due for replacement, but there's some repairs to be done, that's what this is.
Okay.
So those 4 roof areas, they're in decent shape, but there's some repairs that are needed. And so we put that in there, and then that dollar value is how much we think it'll cost. And then if you scroll down, probably 8 or 9 pages past the roof plan. There you go.
plan,
So
annual
this
maintenance.
repair spec here, so it's a little bid form here with a picture or pictures of each of those repair items
Oh,
that I'm
sure.
recommending. And so these are those repairs that are recommended, the $8,000. I already have them in the report of exactly what needs to be done. And then the last page of the PDF will be a roof plan, another roof plan that shows where those repairs actually occur or need to occur.
Very thorough.
So
I love your pictures.
Thanks. So,
What location is DW?
District wide,
Oh, district wide, okay.
because we haven't really figured out what,
Yeah, and because it's a working document, Joel, like,
Yeah.
what we would do is, as it gets closer, we would identify that,
Okay.
but we wanted to make sure it was there for
Oh.
a
Yeah,
placeholder,
just
yeah.
placeholder for
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yep, makes sense. And then I see on here, like we have some stuff in the 26, 27 that are green, Ben Franklin roofing.
Mhm.
So that stuff is done already then?
No,
If it's in the future, it's identified as a priority.
yeah,
Okay, so green and 26, 27 is priority.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
So what you'll start to see is that our roofing takes up our whole entire budget.
Yeah, it does.
And we're starting to get to a point where it doesn't even fit in the 675. There's a few years where roofing is exceeding the 675.
Great.
So that's where we really rely on Dave's report and expertise and like, okay, can it wait another year or can it not? And then we have to make adjustments.
and the reality of it is, if we're talking about this next summer, when I spoke to Dave after he completed the report, he was more concerned about the wear at the high school than at Ben Franklin, but they're both kind of like end of life.
Mhm.
But the reality of it is, we still need to make sure that we can take care of summer school and make the best usage out of our summer schedules as well. And when I spoke to Dave, Dave said, we can do the high school, we might have to do some maintenance on that high school roof, or if extra funds come available, like whatever, like, but we need to figure that out, because we also need to make sure that we are talking to the district office staff here, so we're planning for summer school,
Mhm.
knowing that the community center will also have a lot of activity this summer as well.
So right now we've identified for 25, 26, we have three items identified,
That are high priority?
yes. Do you wanna speak, Chris, at all to the
That takes up
kitchen?
to 6,
Hmm,
just about.
Yeah, Joel, I'm gonna let you speak to the elevators if you don't mind.
The elevator, well, main reason elevator changed out is some of the parts are not readily available anymore. And we're trying to just get ahead of, I'd rather not have to shut down an elevator for a long period of time during the school year where we have kids not able to move up and down floors. So we're trying to get ahead of those because parts are just not available. Or like one of the big ones that we're running into is door operators. If that goes down, that could be a month without kids being able to move around. So we're trying to knock these off slowly and methodically of which ones are priorities. With Riverside and the construction and everything going on over there, it just kind of works out where that one, let's get that one done. Well, that building's already shut down due to construction.
And then the secure kitchen and garage doors for Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin is the only school that we have where the kitchen is not secure from the cafeteria side. Where if you are actually in the cafeteria, you could enter the kitchen. Because it's not gated off.
Okay.
So I met last week, with one of our contractors to get a price quote on what it would cost to secure that area. I will wait for that. But this is also really important for food service, just because it's kind of a sanitary place. We don't want to use all of the people that have access to that area to just like wander into our kitchens.
and we have facility rentals in the
Exactly.
cafeteria, so that's part of the thing, that we have the community in that
Many-
space.
Yep.
But they shouldn't be in the kitchen, but they have full range, free range
Exactly.
into the kitchen,
Yep.
so.
And then obviously the roof placements that Dave recommended at Ben Franklin, 2, 6, and 7 are the ones that are on the list at this point right now.
So I won't click through the whole survey, but that's indicated in the
Yeah.
link as well. So the idea with the CIP plan is that we, like David says, bring it to every single committee meeting. So I don't know that that's feasible with our other agenda items always, but we can bring it often to this committee meeting and the board would just keep approving it. Like, or not, discussion, but that's the idea, is that we always have a new plan approved, or the plan is, in current draft form, becomes approved, and that becomes our current living plan, but that it changes frequently, so it's not like set in stone forever. And then when it will start to make a little bit more sense is when we get to use Fund 46. Right now, our Fund 46 is within our 5-year timer, like the waiting period, if you remember, that was in, I think April was when the timer actually started. So once it's created and DPI is notified, we have to wait 5 years before we can use any funds. We only have $100 in there, so we just needed an initial deposit. But essentially, once you start using Fund 46, you can only use it on items that are on your CIP plan. So it's kind of like the why behind it, in addition to just having a document where everybody can see what our needs are. So once we have a Fund 46 and if and when we're funding it, part of the why of having this plan approved is because that's the board saying, yep, those are the dollars that you have to utilize on anything on this list. It's part of the why. So our idea tonight is that this is discussion, but that we also have it listed for action if our committee feels okay with approving it or taking action on it tonight. And then we would just keep bringing it to future committee meetings as well.
Is it just this committee's approval, or once we approve it here, then it has to go to the board?
Yeah,
Always
so then it would be
okay.
in consent agenda and it could be pulled out if needed, but it would be committee and then full board in consent
Okay.
agenda.
I mean, I didn't have any concerns. I mean, again, I know the needs are much greater than the actual, budget amount each year. So not everything on the list is gonna get done, and we're certainly allowed to update it if something new and, had a higher priority. So I didn't see anything concerning about this.
And we'll
So-
continue to, we're working on doing the little narrative, so you'll soon see a link, the idea is like a link for everything, at least so it has a description of what it is
Mhm.
in addition to what you're seeing here. And you'll see the schools are all abbreviated, but that's the location, CC is community center, so.
The 134 that surplus that we have from this year's CIP carried forward for next year.
So the goal is to add the high school pool up, am I right, high school pool updates.
Yes.
Do you wanna explain that one?
Pool needs to be painted is one of the major issues, or one of the issues there. Well, the major issue is we're having issues controlling our chloramines. So we wanna add a UV system to it to make sure that is controlled 100%. But to do that, I gotta drain the pool, so it just becomes a bigger thing, so got the quote for that, we've got the quote for the painting, now it's just a matter of trying to work with all the end users of when can we shut the pool down, when can we drain it, when can we move forward, so between swim club, swim teams and the school, and then now it's been informed that the high school also, the middle school comes over and swims, so I gotta try figuring that into plan.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
And the reality of it is to keep it in check right now, we are constantly running a bleed line of fresh water to keep it under control, so that's not a great thing long term. And if you really walked around the pool at the high school, you would say that this really does need to be done.
Yeah.
It was a matter of when and did we have the resources to do it. And I will just tell you, the UV system's been on our radar for quite a while, and we just feel like this is in the best interest of the school district to move ahead with this one if we could potentially do this year.
So I do see that in the total, that 540, 233,
You do,
and then I see the 675, then I see the surplus of,
Yeah, that should have
134.
been, this, we just moved, so this actually, the pool, we just met last week.
Yeah.
It's not summing correctly, the
Oh,
pool's
okay,
down here and I
okay.
scooted it up, and the sum is not taking the
Okay.
120,
so essentially we have 14,000 in surplus.
Yes,
Okay, and that'll carry
good
forward.
catch, Joel.
Yeah, that'll carry forward for next week, or next year rather, school year.
I bet you we find
Yeah, I was gonna say.
$40,000 to spend, I bet you they find something that they can
Yeah.
fix for that.
Ultimately, probably, so facilities, in addition to all these, like facilities has a budget, a division budget itself. So I think what probably will make the most sense, and we can have a conversation about it, is that 14 gets used for some other project that's not on this list.
It has to be used for a CIP project though, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we gotta want some water heater stuff that we
Well,
gotta look into, so that's,
in the last 2 months,
And we'll bring that back, like we'll make sure that's
Yeah.
transparent and on here.
in the last 2 months, we roughly spent $40,000 on hot water heaters to make sure our kitchens are in the right place with sanitizing dishes too. I mean, we weren't expecting that, but it is an issue that we finally just took care of. Was hoping to carry it over to this, but if that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, but it was one of those things like, we had to do it.
So I have no doubt that we'll use our 675 this year.
Yeah.
We'll bring that forward when we
Yeah.
identify what makes the most sense. And we'll fix this formula. Anything else, since this is kind of a relatively new document that you'd like to see on it, or
Yeah.
try to make it, simple, but have a lot of information still?
No, I think it's great, I think it's nice to see the need
Mhm.
of our buildings, and I mean, these are some pretty important things, roofs, elevators,
Mm-hmm.
bathrooms. So no, I think this is good, and I like how you guys are adding the links with the supporting documentation, so that's great, thank you.
Thanks, Dave, for joining and going through our report.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll vote on it when we get to that section, but so for discussion, I guess we can move to item B, which is the self-funded health plan financial update.
That was your.
okay.
And-
Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thanks for scaring us with the IRS thing.
Yeah. I have gotten a phone call before asking for the status of a tax return.
Yeah, the wrong number.
Thanks, Dave.
Alright, thanks.
Thank you.
So, we've talked a lot in the last couple weeks about our health insurance renewal. And we wanted to show the PACE report. PACE stands for Plan Activity and Checkpoint Evaluation. Basically, it's how we're trending compared to the prior year, and it puts it in really nice, simple terms. And we'll show kind of exactly where we're seeing that pharmacy increase from the prior year. That's killing us. I'll point out just a couple things on this report, and Leah, jump in whenever. On the right here, we're seeing our high cost claimants increased from so PYTD prior year to date and CYTD is current year to date. Increased slightly from the prior year. Non-high cost claimants, which is generally like your regular visits to the doctor and the hospital, et cetera, are down. So what we're gonna see trending throughout this report is that our medical spend is down, which is really great, but our pharmacy is up. So I will scroll over to, here's a nice big number that's decreased, paid per admission, so this is, admission is like when you're admitted to the hospital, so the paid per admission compared to the prior year is down significantly, so again, a really good thing. ER visits per 1,000 were up by 30%, and then the payment per ER visit is up slightly, so more ER visits per 1,000 compared to the prior year. But what I'm gonna focus on as we scroll down here is here on the right, we're identifying, oh, Chris and Joel, if you guys wanna head out too. Oh wait, we have your action item. Never mind, sorry. Sorry, squirrel, okay. Payment per member per month is where we start to see the med payment per member per month and then the RX or prescription paid per member per month. And this is our 20% increase right here is our med spend is down 18.4, which is awesome. It's showing that our tiered system is working and that nice healthcare is starting to have an impact.
It's actually a higher percentage than we had thought would happen.
But this right here, this 33% increase in a per member per month prescription is just that one number is what's really causing the majority of our costs to be driven up so high. There is another, so that's like on a per member per month. USI lays it out in a couple different ways so that's digestible. You'll see that same thing here with actual larger dollars. But here are your same percentages that you're seeing or close. Where you're seeing the medical net spend down, so 18.3%, and then here's that prescription net up 33. So again, prior year to date is on the left, current year to date is on the right. And you're seeing, like we're comparing medical spend 3.2 million, almost 3.3 to this number, 2.7. But then here, this pharmacy 1.2 to 1.6 million.
And honestly, that can be two people taking
Yeah,
the
but
high
wait,
price med.
can I,
Go back.
if you go to, so when you add the med and the RX together, the 4.5 million last year, and it's only 4.3 million this year. It's the last line. So like we're
Yes.
actually, our spend is down, I mean, I know it's composed of medical
Well, this is
and
current year
RX.
to date.
Yeah, but that was also prior year to date, right? That's not just prior year.
Yeah, it's prior to date, but I think what our concern is that when they do the actuarial work, is that our RX spend is gonna keep trending higher than last year's did. So that's kind of what our concern is that we have these new med add-ons that we will see continue to be there.
And then what happens with what has happened now with this med spend or with the RX spend is that we've hit our stop loss, our specific stop loss number, and our stop loss insurance, which is a separate like standalone breakout piece of our
went way up.
funded, went way up by the max it can 50% premiums. So those are like lower numbers, but that's a piece of what we pay as a district in terms of our having self-funded insurance.
Yeah, we do get more detailed information that's quite honestly just a little too identifiable to share in a meeting. Because it talks about like their gender, their age, their issue, and we're still small enough that
Yeah.
it starts to get a little too specific. But our real concern is that we've added new high cost claimants who have a lifelong need.
Mhm.
So in prior years, you're seeing high cost claimants who are a moment in time, so like a surgery or something that an appendix, you know, things that high cost for that moment in time, but not a lifetime cost.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we've switched from high cost being kind of those fixed term issues to lifetime high cost med. And so that's why our projections are not good. Because we've switched dramatically in what we're paying a lot of money for. And so when you have somebody who is 16 on a high cost lifetime med, that's 300 some grand a year every year till they're 26 and off the plan. So that's where our shift is coming. So that year to date, while not bad in that comparison, our demographic has changed between that look and this look, and that's why our projections are not great.
Not great.
Is there any programs we could jump on, like for medications, medication discount programs or?
So we are looking into that. They're income based, so you have to qualify. So do we have some employees who may qualify? Maybe. But most of the things where you can get the pharmaceutical company to have to chip in are all income based. And they also require a lot of work on behalf of the employee. But one of the things that I know is gonna be brought to us, there are groups that kind of do that work. So they will help figure out if we have employees who qualify, they will help move the employee through that entire process to then qualify for either those rebates or those kind of like coupons,
Mhm.
you know, for the medication. Like I said, though, it is income based,
Sure.
so the actual, you know, employee,
We'd have to do some work.
It-
And
most of
qualify.
our employees would probably not qualify. It's possible that we could have some scenarios in which they do, which we can take advantage of.
Does UMR do like case management for some of the people who may have like let's say it's, you know, diabetes where they require like check-ins and
Mhm.
they basically like follow you, like they have a
Yeah,
case
so they-
manager that,
They used to be called disease management programs, and that's what I keep calling them. But yes, there is disease management programs, and because we're kind of under this one umbrella, our RX works in tandem with our medical. These meds though, they're like the med. That is the answer to your chronic issue, is take this med. There's actually not a whole lot of management. Most of these meds are not for things. Diet and exercise, like that's not an answer to a lot of these high cost meds. They are the actual answer, regardless of how you.
Is there checks and balances like that would, and I think this is kind of where Jennifer's going with this, like, hey, you're on this medication, but they do make a generic that costs us much less.
Yeah, so we're not in generic territory on these, that's why they're still so high cost.
Okay,
So our plan automatically kicks you to a generic,
okay, that's
and
right.
if you don't wanna be on the generic, your doctor has a lot of work to do to prove to the insurance company that for whatever reason you cannot be on the generic. Those are getting harder and harder to get done because the generics are almost 100%. They used to be like, as long as you're within 80%, you could be a generic. they've moved to be exponentially closer. So the odds of you having some reaction, is more unlikely than it used to be. Right now, I said it at, I don't know, one of the meetings last week. Whenever you see those ads on TV, those are new drugs that are probably still well within their 20-year patent.
Yep.
Because they wanna make the look, they're new, they want people to know about it. And two, this is their moment in time, their 20 years to get the money grab. So, the things that we're seeing, this is the only option. I think it was Humira. That one was just coming off of its 20-year, and generics, were coming out. Unfortunately, as that one came off, like 4 more just came on the market for other things that are now the one-off high cost drug. But yes,
Yep.
we do automatically.
Skyrizi, like truly, when all the commercials you see, when we go through the high cost, like we won't do it publicly, but like those are the
Like you can sing the song when you
Yes.
see it like pop up on the sheet, like the song in
happy
your head.
commercial, yeah.
Cause they're a commercial like all night on every channel.
Yeah.
But yes, we absolutely do go to generic first, and it is a hurdle for things well, obviously for diabetes medication, you need your diabetes medication, but for something like those diabetes medications that have now also converted over into weight loss meds, there are stringent requirements of working with your doctor to meet the requirements, you have to have multiple issues, blah, 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 and then you have to be on a plan with your doctor to be able to stay on that drug. So there are some things when it is a drug that is combined with lifestyle. However, like I said, a lot of these have no lifestyle component. You have a chronic health condition that, there isn't really that much you can do for it. Insulin itself is actually not expensive on a plan like this. So like
It's
the
the
more
lifestyle one that makes it
traditional, the more
expensive.
traditional kind of old school diabetes meds that most people are taking are actually in their generics or are, those low cost options. It's the things like the Ozempics and the Wegovy's that are kind of the new trendy ones or the ones that used for weight loss that are in that higher bracket because of what they're used for besides just the insulin and things like that. Like the pills are much cheaper than the injectables and the pills are mostly all generics now.
Right.
The only other thing I wanted to point out in terms of numbers on here is this UMR norm, because USI mentioned this a number of times, is that the norm for RX is in the 20s, and our norm, or our data is that 38% of our spend is pharmacy, so that's, they kept going back to that, like, we are so much farther above the norm because of these few high cost drugs that we're on. Which is just driving up our price. So,
And we meet monthly with them and more often if need be. So obviously we just met about our shift and stop loss price going up and in these projections for the future of our med costs. So that is the next thing we're tackling, is what to do about med cost, but it's.
well, and thank goodness that we've been working on our med spend, because if that didn't go down, that would have been a worse renewal. So that's a good thing. That is the silver lining in all this, is that has been decreasing and we'll continue to work on that.
Yeah, and we're gonna continue to push NICE and to make sure people understand the tiers. But yeah, without that 18% decrease, it would be a worse picture. I mean, unfortunately, we couldn't be as happy about that as
I
we'd
know.
like to be. I mean, it would have been nice to be able to be happier about that, but we're gonna try to figure out what to do about the meds, but unfortunately, your hands are a little bit more tied when it comes to those meds. So every time you watch a commercial, get upset.
I'll take those commercials right now
That
over
is-
our commercials, we were just talking.
But every time I see one, I see dollars, I see six-figure dollar
Yeah.
signs, I'm like, another
High
one.
cost.
Oh my god, another one's out there. So, but you know, at the same side though, we have had a very well functioning plan. Our employees are very well covered, their family members are well covered, and we're happy to be able to still offer such a robust plan without any plan design changes, while actually comparatively to other employers across the country, a relatively small increase in premiums that our employees are seeing while keeping the plan design and the deductibles the same. So, and adding things like NICE to the offering. So, even though we were disappointed in the fact that, we had to make these changes and increase some costs, we still feel like they were very measured changes, very affordable changes, and that our employees won't experience any shocks of coverage or all of a sudden not have the same level of coverage that they and their family were used to. So there are still some highlights that are out there. This is actually the baby first step when you see costs go up. This is not scary territory of costs going up. It was just time,
6 years of knowing.
6 years of no increases, that, unfortunately we had to make a change, so. I don't want it to be all doom and gloom sounding, it's actually not that bad news, and most districts have seen anywhere from 4 to 12% increases every year over those 6 years that we were not increasing. So, money in your pocket that you could have earned interest on for 6 years, as my grandpa used to say, you should be happy that you didn't have those increases all along, and thankful that we had a relatively moderate increase, for this year, so.
Okay. All right, anything else on that topic?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to item C, athletic fees FAQ.
Okay, so this is from October 21st, Personnel and Finance Committee. We brought athletic fees and we had a discussion about our athletic fees in comparison to our neighboring districts. We talked about our athletics and activities programming, and we were asked to create an FAQ document. So we put together this document that's linked in board docs for where do our athletics and activity fees go, what does the athletics and activities budget cover, how do other districts handle athletics and activities fees, what if I can't afford it, etc. So we're calling this a draft document because we're really just bringing it back to our committee that requested it. And then we don't have it for an action item, it can be informal. If we feel good about it, we'll post it then on our fees page on our, it's really in the student handbook is really where it is on the website, but it's all drop down link. So we'll post on that fees page there.
I read it and I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I think, board member Holzman was, I think, the person who requested it, and I know, she's unable to attend after all this evening. So I just, again, I know we're not voting on it, like I said, I'm happy with the questions and answers that are there. Maybe you could just follow up with her, and if she had any additional comments or maybe suggestions for Q&A, item 7 or 8 or something. But otherwise, I don't see a problem with anything that's here.
Yeah, I agree. I looked over the questions and I think it gives visibility into why we have sports fees. And I think it makes sense. And I think one important thing to note is that very first question there. Yeah, these fees only cover 25% of our expenses in sports. Districts putting in money too, so.
And I think if you asked our athletics department, they would happily take more than the $685, it's like just like everything, it's like, okay, we can make it work, but it's just barely getting there, so.
Right. Yeah, no, I think this was good, and yeah, like I say, I second Jennifer, just have Shelley take
For sure, I'll
go
do
over
it.
it. And we could probably even do that by email, I'm assuming, just before we post it,
And we can always update it too, so. Perfect.
but no, that's good.
Perfect, will do.
Okay, well then we're gonna move to the action items, and so, we discussed the capital improvement plan earlier, but, I guess I would like to make a motion to move the capital improvement plan for approval as discussed?
I'll second.
Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, motion passes. And the last item is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I will motion.
I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is approved.